Hey YouTube, welcome back to the channel. I'm Joe Basaha, Joe Sells Miami, and I help buyers and sellers build wealth through real estate and short-term rentals. Today, in 8 easy steps, I'm going to walk you through what you need to do to get started with a listing on Airbnb. So step 1, consider what exactly it is that you're renting. Are you renting your entire apartment when you go out of town, or do you have an extra apartment altogether that you want to do this as a side business? Or is it a private room in your apartment? Maybe you have a spare second or a third bedroom and you want to rent that room privately. And your third option that some people do is what's considered a shared space. Maybe you're going to put a sleeper sofa in your living room, and that is what you're renting. Remember, Airbnb got started by a bunch of guys just renting out air mattresses in their living room. That's how the app started. Step 2, the second thing that you want to do is literally do some research to understand the market. If you're just getting started, you can do this for free. Take a look on Airbnb.com and try to find your exact unit. So go on and pretend that you were searching for your unit. Type in the size and the location of the neighborhood and whatever other amenities you require. Try and find a similar looking unit. This will be your comp or your comparable. Get the closest one you possibly can and look for people that have a lot of reviews and preferably 5-star reviews. Now, another program I recommend is called Airdna, and this is a paid service, but they do have some free features. Airdna will give you more advanced features for nightly pricing and forecast demand, and their program will do all of this work for you. I believe in them a lot, so I am including a link to Airdna in the show description below. The goal here is for you to look at the data and let the data guide you and give you the vision that will tell you what you can command over time. Because when you first get started, you're going to start from a lower pricing perspective to build your presence and your reviews and your reputation, but at least you have an idea of where you can go from researching this data. Step 3, now that you know that there's demand for your size unit in your neighborhood and how much money you might actually make doing this, you want to go ahead and be really critical as you walk through your apartment or property and say, what could make a guest experience better and what do I need to do better to secure my belongings or check and make sure that things don't get damaged, right? So the way that you should do this is think about guest comfort. They want their own linens. They want their own towels. They want to be comfortable. You should spend what you can to make it as luxurious and as much of a hotel stay as possible. And then also take a look at what's missing in your place. Do you need that sleeper sofa? Do you need a coffee maker? Now, whether you personally use them or not, it's about the guests. So think about what the guests require and then think about what you require for privacy. So for example, I might want to put a deadlock or a deadbolt on a closet, and that's where I'm securing whatever is important to me, whether it's my personal belongings or cleaning supplies or whatever it is that I don't want a guest to access. Step 4, the fourth thing you need to do is to make sure that everything works in your home. We all have things in our home that don't really work, or we know the workaround, like the closet light isn't working, or the hot water in the shower, the dial, you have to turn it a certain way. Take proactive measures to get things fixed, because at the end of the day, it's gonna lead to more 5-star reviews, which is your goal. Your goal is to get really good reviews saying that the house is maintained, because the last thing you want is bad reviews saying that the lights don't work and it's negative and the house isn't maintained. So that shows up in your review history, and that will 100% affect your business, and you will not rank as high in search. So be really critical, go through step by step and make sure every single thing that's in your house works as it was designed and intended so that your guests have the best experience possible. The 5th thing that's critically important, and I cannot stress this enough, is you need to have high quality professional photos, not photos from your iPhone. Airbnb actually has a great service. It's free, so make sure that you take advantage of it. They will send a professional photographer to your home to photograph it. And not only are these photos fantastic and the photographer uses the right lens and knows the lighting settings, but there's a second benefit because they put a watermark on each photo that says that this is Airbnb certified. So what that means to your guest is that this is a legitimate place. Airbnb saw it with their own eyes. In fact, they took the photos, so I can believe it more. And the quality of the photos is probably the single most important thing about getting listings, in addition to the quality of reviews. So please take your time, do this right. It's really important. Step 6, check in and the key exchange. I think this really deters a lot of people, but it shouldn't, and it's easy to overcome. So just think about, how are your guests going to get into your apartment? Now, a lot of people will want to meet their guests in person, and that's totally fine, but it may not particularly work for you because I know that guests come and go at all hours of the night and on weekends, and personally, I take vacations, so I'm not always there to meet my guests, but if you are, and that's your solution, that's great. Now, if you're not always there or you don't always want to be there, then there's other things that you can consider, like a lockbox. A lockbox is something that you can place around the property or in a secure location. It's a box that has a code so guests can go and unlock it and get the keys and have access to your apartment. If not, there are a couple other things to consider. So you can use services such as key cafes, and that's where you partner with a business that's nearby and they hold the keys. I've seen 24-hour convenience stores like 7-Eleven have this type of service. So also make sure that you do subscribe. I'll be posting a video about that later on and how that service works. Another option is to use a full service company like Guestly or Vacasa or Red Awning. I'll make a video on those services as well, but these companies will actually meet your guests and let them in. And also, nobody wants a lockout or an emergency, especially if you're away or on vacation or a Saturday night. So, make sure that you really figure out and you implement a process that you communicate with guests, and you can communicate those instructions so they can come quickly and easily. So again, the key exchange, this is so important because this is the first impression your guests will have with your property. Step 7, and this is to log into Airbnb, create your account, actually go through and fill in all the blanks. So fill everything out. Airbnb does a really great job of onboarding, and it's really straightforward. They give you all the fields that you need to fill in. But in this section, I would really encourage you to be as thoughtful and as descriptive as possible. Again, you want to sell people on the dream. Don't just tell them the features. Tell people how they're going to use it. Tell people why being in your neighborhood or your location is great. Not just describe it, because people really want a vision. They need a story to buy in to anything that they purchase. Don't just assume that people know anything. If you sell the dream, people will book. So again, you want to make sure to take as much as you can, fill in as much information as you can, because people are looking at this from all over the world in my experience. They don't know what's in your head. Assume nothing and be really descriptive about your house rules. In my experience, I would rather deter a bad guest than to host a bad guest. So if you don't want parties or you don't want events, you don't want people below a certain age or whatever, put that in writing. If your house is no smoking or no parties, whatever it is, put it in there. Step 8, and the final thing that you're gonna need to do once your guest departs is figure out the key exchange in reverse. So, where are they gonna leave the key? How is your property being secured? How are you going to get your key back? And you wanna make sure that they don't actually take the key. And that's happened to me in a few instances. So I've had guests who have such a good time and they're running late for the airport and they lock the door and they put the key in the pocket. Or I've told them, leave the key on the dining room table and just pull the door closed, and they don't actually pull the door closed. So I've had my front door open before. So whatever it is, just make sure that you communicate in advance exactly what your expectations are, and what your process is to get your key back. So congratulations, your first guest came and they went and they left you a wonderful review. You got your key back. So now the question is, what's next? Well, simple. Do exactly what you did, only do it better. Do it more consistently, more reliable, do it with more hospitality. If you keep doing that, you're going to grow your business. The other thing you can do is subscribe to my channel, because I'm putting out value-added content like this all the time for free to help you improve your hosting skills, your hospitality skills, and to help grow your real estate investment. So go ahead and subscribe. I really appreciate your interest. Please share this with anybody you think might be interested in growing their real estate business. And in the meantime, happy hosting.